breakfast that knocked. The morning was quiet in the outer ring of Port Midas, a rough and forgotten spaceport where humans rarely stayed for more than a night. Jack Carson, a tired human miner, stretched his arms and looked around the small motel room. The air smelled like metal and dust. The window showed a dirty skyline filled with neon lights and hovering drones. Jack had finished his last job on asteroid Zeta 9 and just wanted rest, food, and silence. He rubbed his eyes and touched the order panel near the bed. "Standard breakfast?" he muttered. The screen blinked. "Confirm order, option 9B, estimated delivery 3 minutes." He pressed confirm without thinking and leaned back. "Probably eggs and something that's not real meat," he joked to himself. The room was cold. He grabbed the old jacket hanging from the hook and looked at the door. 3 minutes passed. Then came the knock. Jack walked to the door and opened it. But it wasn't breakfast. It was a girl. She looked young, maybe 20 in human years, but clearly not human. Her skin was smooth and pale blue. Her eyes were large and golden, and her hair fell in long silver strands over her shoulders. She wore a server's uniform, holding a tray with a drink and a small plate. But her hands were shaking. Her eyes were wide with fear. Jack blinked. Did I order you?" She stepped forward quickly and whispered, "Please, don't send me back." Jack stood still. Her voice was soft but desperate. She looked behind her, down the hall, scared. I ordered breakfast," Jack said, still confused. "You ordered option 9B, she said. "That's me." Jack's stomach twisted. "No, I didn't mean to. Please," she begged again. "Let me in. Someone's coming." Without thinking, Jack grabbed her arm and pulled her inside. She dropped the tray. It hit the floor. With a loud clatter, but Jack shut the door fast. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. He turned off the room lights. The girl hid behind the bed, her breath sharp and quick. Someone knocked hard. Boom. Boom. "Room check," a deep voice said. "Open up." Jack stepped to the door and peeked through the spy hole. 2 tall figures stood outside wearing dark masks and smooth armor. Not human. They held strange devices, some kind of scanners. Jack opened the door slightly. "Yeah?" One of them held up a tablet. "You ordered option 9B, correct?" Jack nodded slowly. "Thought it was breakfast." The two exchanged glances. "May we come in?" "No," Jack said. "I'm changing." They paused. One of them scanned the hallway floor. The tray outside beeped with a red light. "Tell us if you see anything strange," the other said. "Mistakes happen." Jack closed the door without replying. The footsteps faded away. He waited 10 seconds, then turned to the girl. She was crouched low, hands covering her face. "Okay," Jack said, still trying to understand. "What the hell is option 9B? She looked up, eyes filled with tears. "It's a hidden code. The motel offers more than just food. You press the wrong button, and you get me." "Who are you?" "My name is Sari," she said. "I'm not a servant. I was taken. They sell us like items. You just ordered me by accident." Jack sat on the edge of the bed. "They're trafficking people, aliens." She nodded. "Mostly girls. From broken systems. No family. No help. The buyers think we're trained. But I'm not. I escaped once. They punished me. Now I just want out." Jack looked at the door. "Those guys out there. What are they?" "Hunters," she whispered. "They work for the ones who run this motel. They scan for signals. I have a tag under my skin. But it's weak now." "You need to leave," Jack said. "Right now." She shook her head. "If I go back out there, they'll catch me. You're the only one who didn't report me. That means something." Jack stood up and walked to the window. Outside, drones hovered quietly. Patrols. The air shimmered with danger. He looked at Sari. She was not just beautiful. She was scared, real. He thought of the mining fields, the danger, the loneliness. "No one helped me when I first came to space," he said. Maybe it's time I help someone. Sari's eyes lit up just a little. But if we're doing this, Jack added, we need to move fast. They'll come back stronger. She stood. Then let's go. Jack opened a side panel near the bathroom and pulled out a hidden backpack with old mining tools. I've got a few tricks, he said. Let's make some trouble. Outside, the motel lights flickered. The hunters were coming, but Jack wasn't afraid anymore. The secret menu. The hallway was silent again. But Jack knew that silence didn't mean safety. He could feel it. The motel wasn't just some cheap stop in the corner of the galaxy. It was a trap, a market, a hidden place where dangerous deals happened behind smiling service panels. Inside, the room, Sari stood near the window, careful not to be seen. Her hands trembled, her body thin from hunger or fear, or maybe both. Jack handed her a protein bar from his pack. You need this more than me, he said. She took it with both hands. Thank you. Jack sat down and stared at the order panel on the wall. He pressed a few buttons and went into the history log. There it was. Option 9B, delivered next to it in small text, was a symbol he had never seen before. A glowing, blue triangle inside a broken circle. What does this mean? He asked. Sari leaned closer. Her voice was barely a whisper. That's the symbol of the syndicate. They run the black market trades. Not just people, weapons, secrets. Sometimes, even species thought extinct. They use hotels, bars, spaceports, any system connected to the galactic net. Jack's jaw tightened. And I just clicked it by accident, she nodded. Yes, but that accident may have saved me. Jack didn't feel like a hero. He felt like a man with a target on his back. He tapped deeper into the panel. Strangely, it gave him access to more menus, private ones, once the 9B order had been processed. A new screen appeared. Repeat purchase, biological companion submit review, service quality schedule pickup, disposal or return. Disposal, Jack said aloud, disgust in his voice. Sari looked down. If a buyer is unhappy, we disappear. Jack slammed his fist into the panel. Not today. Suddenly, a red light blinked in the corner of the screen. Tracking beacon detected. He turned to Sari. Where's the tag? She touched the back of her neck. Here. It's low-grade tech. Not permanent. I escaped once and shorted it, but it must have reactivated when I left the hallway. Jack reached into his bag, pulled out a tiny mining tool, and activated its laser tip. Are you going to cut it out? Sari asked. No. That'll bleed too much, he said. But I can fry the signal. He carefully pressed the tool against her neck. She didn't flinch. A small spark flicked and a puff of smoke rose. Done, he whispered. That should confuse the signal for a while. Sari breathed in relief. You're good at this. I've seen things, Jack said. Dangerous things in the mines. Smugglers. Slavers. Once saw a man sell his own shadow to survive. She gave him a puzzled look. Long story, he added. They both turned as a soft voice came from the wall panel. Dear guest, we noticed an issue with your last delivery. We would like to offer a replacement. Please confirm. Jack stared at the screen. They're trying to confirm you're still here. Don't answer, Sari warned. If you do, they'll know exactly where we are. Jack thought for a moment. Then he spoke quietly. We need to leave, but not like cowards. If they're watching this room, we'll give them something to chase. He reached into his pack and pulled out a round metal ball. It looked like trash, but inside it was a mining-grade signal scrambler, normally used to keep gear hidden from pirates. He set the device under the bed. This will echo your signal for 10 minutes, make them think you're still here. And us? Sari asked. We leave through the old laundry chute in the hallway, Jack replied. Most motel designs use similar layouts. I've seen it before. They packed fast. Jack gave her a long coat to hide her alien features. Together, they slipped out the side window, crawled across the narrow ledge, and made it to a maintenance door. As Jack predicted, the chute was there. Dark, dusty, unused. He looked at her. Ready? Sari nodded. I've been ready since I was taken. They slid down. Moments later, the door to Jack's room burst open upstairs. Hunters rushed in, weapons drawn. One of them scanned the room. She's still here, it said. They moved fast, toward the bed. But it was a trick, as the device exploded in a flash of static and sparks. Jack and Sari landed hard in a storage room deep below the motel. They were dirty, bruised, but alive. Jack checked his comlink. He accessed a private contact list. An old name flashed across the screen. Relic. An ex-soldier. Smuggler. Tech expert. And maybe their only chance. He hit send location. Sari sat on a box nearby, breathing hard. I never thought anyone would help me. Jack sat beside her. I didn't think I'd be involved in anything today but eating fake eggs and taking a nap. They shared a small laugh, just for a second. Then, footsteps echoed above. The chase had just begun. The girl who knew too much. The underground storage room was dark, filled with crates marked in old alien languages. Thick cables hung from the ceiling like tangled vines, and the air smelled like oil and heat. Jack and Sari sat in silence, listening for sounds above. But what broke the silence wasn't footsteps. It was Sari's breathing, shaky, uneven. Jack glanced over. She had her hand pressed against her chest just below the collarbone. You okay? He asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she took a deep breath and closed her eyes. A soft flicker of blue light glowed under her skin. What is that? Jack leaned in. She looked up at him. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the dark. It's starting again. What is? My memory drive, she whispered. It's waking up. Jack stared at her, confused. Memory drive? Like a computer? No, she said. Not a computer. I'm part organic. But I was built. Not in the normal way. My creators installed something inside me. A vault. Not for money, for secrets. Jack leaned back, shocked. Secrets? She nodded. Classified files. Star charts. Weapon codes. Names of syndicate leaders. I don't know everything in it. But I've seen flashes. Pieces. That's why they want me dead. Jack stood and started pacing. So you're not just a victim. They see you as a threat. I didn't know until 2 cycles ago, she said. I escaped my last buyer after I accidentally activated part of it. I saw a man's face, an admiral who's supposed to be dead. I saw where he's hiding. Jack paused. Sorry. You're a walking data bomb. She gave him a small smile. Nice way to say it. Jack checked his comlink again. Still, no signal from Relic. We need to move. If you're broadcasting anything right now, they'll find us. No, she said quickly. It doesn't send out. It only lights up when I'm near old tech. She pointed to a rusted terminal in the corner. Like that. Jack approached it. It was dead. Dusty. But when Sari got close, the screen blinked alive. Faint green letters scrolled across it. Access granted. Welcome back. Unit 4E42. Jack stepped back. What the hell? Sari didn't touch anything, but the screen began to load files. Images, maps, audio clips. Then a video appeared. A room full of aliens sat around a table. At the head was a man, human. He wore a black uniform with silver markings. His voice was low, calm. Begin purge of failed assets. No witnesses. If any unit escapes, trigger the Omega Order. Sari covered her mouth. That's him, she said. The man I saw. Who is he? Jack asked. His name is Varn. He was part of Earth's diplomatic mission 10 years ago. Then he vanished. Everyone thought he died. But he didn't. He started working with the syndicate. And you saw this because you were there? No. Because someone put it inside me. To protect it, the screen shut down. A high-pitched tone rang out from Jack's comlink. Not a message, an alert. They've traced us, he said. We need to get out now. They moved fast. Jack led her through the lower tunnels beneath the motel. Pipes hissed. Vents roared. Everything felt unstable. At one point, a metal walkway cracked under their feet, nearly dropping them into a shaft below. "Where does this go?" Sari asked. Jack looked at the faded signs. "Service route. Leads to the waste-port. If we make it to the surface, we can hijack a crawler." They reached a hatch. Jack pulled a rusty lever and pushed it open. Hot air blasted their faces. Outside, it was night again. The motel above was quiet, but the skies were not. Small drones hovered in patterns, their red lights blinking. "Too many eyes," Jack said. "We stay low." They moved through the trash heaps, hiding behind old ship parts and broken containers. Sari kept checking over her shoulder. "They won't stop. Jack, they'll burn the whole sector to catch me." Jack stopped and grabbed her shoulder. "Then we stop running." She stared at him, confused. "You have data. Proof. Something people will care about. If we can send it out, if the galaxy sees what they're doing, it's over." "But the syndicate controls everything," she said. "News, screens, even the courts." "Not everything," Jack said. "There's a free net, hidden in deep space. Relic knows how to get there." "And if he doesn't show up?" she asked. Jack looked toward the glowing horizon. "Then we find someone who will." Suddenly something moved above them, a ripple in the air. Then a shape, sleek, silver, and silent, descended behind them. It wasn't a syndicate drone. It was Relic. The ship's hatch opened, and a large man stepped out. He wore a long coat, half-cybernetic face, and an old rifle on his back. "Jack," he said, voice rough. "You always did find trouble." Jack smiled. "Relic, we need help." Relic looked at Sari. His eye scanned her, literally. A red beam flickered across her face. "Interesting," he muttered. "She's not just a girl, is she?" "She's the galaxy's most dangerous memory stick," Jack said. "Even better," Relic replied. "Get in, before the real monsters show up." They boarded the ship, and within seconds the engines roared to life. Above them, the syndicate ships began to swarm. But Jack and Sari were already gone, into deep space, into deeper danger. But for the first time, they weren't running without purpose now. They had something bigger than survival. They had the truth. Pursuit over the mining fields. The stars outside the ship's window were moving fast, too fast. Sari sat strapped in a metal seat, her hands gripping the armrests as Relic's ship burst into slipstream. The interior lights flickered from the sheer power of the engines, and the hum of the drive core filled the narrow cabin. Jack stood beside the control panel, watching the tracker on the wall. 3 blinking red dots followed behind them, unshaken by their jump. "They're tracking us even in slipspace," Jack muttered. Relic growled, teeth clenched. "Those aren't just bounty ships. They've got syndicate tech, illegal cloaking, gravity claws, void nets. Someone high up really wants that girl dead." Sari turned to them, her face pale. "Not dead, erased. If they get me, they'll rip out the memory core and melt it in front of me. I've seen it happen to others." Relic glanced over his shoulder. "You're not the only one they've made like this?" 23 others. I was the last, the others. They're gone." Jack looked at Relic. "We need to hide, somewhere dark, somewhere deep." "I know a place," Relic said. "Old mining colony, abandoned for years. No scanners, no patrols, but it's not safe." Jack shrugged. "We left safe behind at the motel." Relic adjusted the ship's trajectory. "Then buckle up." Within moments, the ship dropped out of slipstream, slamming back into real space with a thunderous boom. Below them was a massive brown planet scarred, with canyons, slag pits, and twisted machinery. Enormous conveyor belts, broken towers, and rusted silos spread across the surface like a dead giant's bones. "This is Minos 12, Relic said. "Used to be full of workers and fortune seekers, Now it's just ghosts and radiation. The ship descended fast, cutting through thick clouds of dust. They landed inside a broken dome, once part of a processing plant. A mechanical claw had crashed through the roof, now hanging like a crooked metal arm above them. Jack and Sari stepped out. The ground was hot beneath their boots and ash blew like snow in the wind. No power, no life, Relic said. Just old machines and dead wires. Perfect, Jack said. We need a place to think. Relic led them into the tunnels, once used to haul ore, now forgotten. As they walked, their footsteps echoed. Sari moved slowly, holding her coat tight around her. Her senses were sharp now, her memory core more active than ever. Something's down here, she whispered. Jack stopped. What do you mean? I don't know, she said. But it's old. Very old. Suddenly her hand lit up again. A soft blue glow stretched from her palm to the wall. Relic raised an eyebrow. What the hell's she doing now? She's connecting, Jack said. The glow spread. The walls hummed. A hidden door, one no human eye could see, opened slowly with a hiss. Inside was a chamber lined with forgotten tech, holograms, cables, shattered AI cores. Sari stepped forward, drawn by instinct. Then the lights inside blinked on, one by one. Broken projector clicked and an image formed in the air, a woman speaking in a strange dialect. Her voice was warped, but Sari understood it. She's saying this place was a vault, she whispered. A backup for the truth. When the syndicate began, someone tried to fight. They built this as a record. It was buried when the war ended. Jackie stared at the hologram. This is a graveyard of history. Sari moved toward a data node and touched it. The light surged and a new map blinked on. Planet routes, syndicate bases, encrypted names and dates. This is what I'm carrying. Sari said. They put part of this in me, but here, this is the rest. Before Jack could respond, Relic's comm crackled. Incoming, a voice shouted. Drones, they found us. Relic's eyes narrowed. They must have followed the jump signature. Jack turned to Sari. Shut it down, now. But it was too late. Explosions shook the chamber as syndicate drones swarmed the dome above. Sharp claws burst through the roof. Red searchlights pierced the tunnels. They're inside, Relic shouted. Jack drew his old mining pistol. We hold them off. He tossed a blaster to Relic, who grinned. Just like the old days. Sari grabbed a data core from the vault and held it tight. I can't run again. This needs to survive. Jack turned to her, his voice firm. We all survive. Together. The first drone dropped into the tunnel. It screeched, its weapons hot. Jack fired first, straight through its lens. Sparks flew. More came, crawling across the ceiling. Relic activated a portable EMP. A wave of blue energy shattered the next two machines. Back to the ship, Jack yelled. They ran through the collapsing tunnel, explosions behind them, sparks and smoke rising in every direction. Sari stumbled once. Jack caught her, pulled her up. I've got you, he said. They burst into the open, the ship's ramp already lowering. Relic covered them with suppressing fire as they boarded. Jack slammed the hatch closed and shouted, Go! The engines roared. The ship lifted, tearing through the falling debris. Syndicate drones chased them, but too late. They were airborne. Relic steered the ship hard into the clouds, dodging beams and rockets. Sari collapsed into the seat, clutching the core. Jack sat beside her, panting. We got it? She nodded. We got it, but now they'll never stop. Jack looked out the window at the fire below. Then we take the fight to them. Sari turned to him. You don't even know what's in here. Doesn't matter, Jack said. If it scares them that much, it's worth protecting. And so they flew, out of the fire into the void, carrying the last hope of a galaxy buried in lies. Betrayal on the ridge. The ship hummed with tension. Jack stood at the viewing deck, arms crossed, watching the stars streak past as Relic's vessel sailed through deep space. Below him, Sari rested on a cot in the medical bay, her skin still glowing faintly from the memory core's activation. Her breathing was calm now, but Jack knew it was only temporary. They'd escaped Minos 12 by the skin of their teeth. They had recovered the data core from the vault. And yet Jack couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Very wrong. "You've been quiet," Relic said from behind him. Jack didn't turn around. "Something's off." "We got what we came for," Relic replied. "We lost them, for now. I say we find a buyer and move on. You want revenge, I get that. But we can't win a war alone." Jack narrowed his eyes at the glass. "It's not about revenge, it's about stopping them from doing this again. To others like her." Relic grunted. "And you trust her? You trust that glowing girl with syndicate tech in her spine?" Jack turned slowly. "She saved my life, she didn't have to. She could have left me back in that room." "Or maybe she needed you to get this far," Relic said sharply. "People like her. You don't know what they're programmed to do." Jack's jaw tightened, but he didn't reply. That silence said enough. Later in the cargo bay, Sari opened her eyes. The room was dim, lit only by a flickering blue light overhead. She sat up slowly, head still buzzing with information. The data from the core, maps, betrayals, operations was now part of her. The syndicate wouldn't stop. They would chase her across galaxies, burn entire systems, kill anyone who had even looked at her. She was a threat now. But she was also the key. "Sorry," Jack's voice echoed through the doorway. She looked up. He stepped inside, hands in his jacket pockets. "Thought you'd still be resting," he said. "I don't sleep much anymore," she whispered. "Too many voices in my head." He walked over and sat beside her. "We're close to a rendezvous point. Relic made contact with an old resistance fighter. Says he knows a secure place where we can hide and upload the truth." "Do you trust him?" Sari asked, eyes steady. Jack paused. "I trust that he wants money, and I trust that he likes staying alive. But past that," she gave a sad smile, "you don't fully trust me either." Jack looked at her. "I don't know what they put inside you, Sari, but I know who you are when you're scared, and I know who you are when you fight. That's enough." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the ship lurched. The intercom buzzed. "Get to the cockpit," Relic's voice snapped. "Now!" They reached the bridge just as the ship slowed near a jagged mountain ridge on a distant desert moon. The entire surface was ash and stone, with massive cliffs rising from the planet's skin like broken teeth. Jack looked at the coordinates. "This doesn't look like a resistance base." Relic didn't reply. His hand hovered over the landing sequence. "Where's your contact?" Jack asked. "He'll meet us on the ridge," Relic said quickly. "We can't broadcast. Too risky." Jack frowned. "We've flown into syndicate territory before. There were more defenses." "That's the point," Relic snapped. "They don't expect anyone to land here. It's clean. Now sit down and strap in." The ship landed with a hard thud. They disembarked into harsh winds. Dust blew in every direction, and the air tasted like metal. On top of the ridge, a figure waited. Wrapped in armor and a thick cloak, the figure raised a hand in greeting. Relic walked ahead. Jack hesitated, placing a hand on Sari's back protectively. Something felt off. They climbed the narrow path to the top. The figure lowered its hood, an alien with a sharp jawline, yellow eyes, and silver tattoos running along his skin. "You have it?" the man asked Relic. Relic nodded and turned toward Jack. "Give me the core." Jack froze. "What?" I said, "Give me the core." Relic repeated, more firmly now. "This is the contact." "No," Jack said, stepping back. "You lied. This isn't resistance." Relic's eyes went cold. "No, Jack. This is reality. I need credits. You need to stop playing hero, and she," he pointed at Sari, "is worth more than a fleet of ships." Sari's breath hitched. Jack reached for his weapon. Too slow. Relic drew first and fired at Jack's leg. The blast hit just below the knee, and Jack went down with a shout. gripping his leg as smoke rose from his pants. Sari screamed and tried to run, but the alien-cloaked figure grabbed her, forcing her to her knees. She fought, but a stun cuff snapped around her wrist and lit up with sparks. "Don't do this," Jack shouted, trying to stand. Relic walked over and knelt beside him. "I liked you," he said. "But you never learned how the galaxy really works. It's eat or be eaten." "I thought you fought the syndicate," Jack hissed. "I did," Relic growled, "until I realized they always win." Sari looked at Jack. Her eyes were wide, terrified. But then, something shifted. She closed her eyes. Her body pulsed with blue light. The cuff around her wrist shorted and exploded. She ducked and rolled, elbowing the alien contact in the throat. He stumbled backward, choking. Relic turned to fire at her. Jack lifted his arm and shot first. The mining pistol, small but deadly, cracked with energy. Relic fell, clutching his side. Jack limped to his feet as Sari grabbed the dropped blaster and aimed it at the second attacker. The wind howled across the ridge. The enemy was down, but the betrayal cut deep. Jack stood over Relic, coughing. "You sold her out, you sold us all out." Relic gasped, blood on his lips. "They were going to find you anyway. I just made sure I lived a little longer." "You didn't," Jack said coldly. Sari walked up and stared at Relic. Then she turned and looked at Jack. "We have to go. Others are coming." Jack limped beside her as they descended the ridge. Behind them, smoke rose. Jack didn't look back. Back on the ship, the engines came to life. Sari sat beside Jack, wrapping his injured leg while he winced. "I should have seen it," Jack muttered. "No," she said softly. "You trusted someone. That's not weakness, that's human." Jack looked at her, and for the first time he didn't see a runaway or a memory vault. He saw someone who was learning to survive and fight together. The alien princess and the human soldier. The ship tore through space, leaving the traitorous ridge moon behind, its jagged cliffs swallowed by darkness. Inside the dim cockpit, the atmosphere was heavy. Jack sat in the co-pilot's chair, his leg braced with makeshift splints and foam padding. Blood had dried on. His pants and pain still flared with every breath, but he kept his eyes forward, fixed on the stars ahead. Sari sat across from him in silence, her eyes red, not from injury, but from anger, from heartbreak. Relic had been the only one Jack trusted out here, and he'd sold them both for credits. It was a lesson Jack wouldn't forget. But what haunted him more wasn't the betrayal. It was the look on Sari's face when it happened. It was the first time he'd seen her heart break, not just her body shaken. "You didn't deserve that," Jack said finally. She looked at him, but didn't speak. Relic. He made his choice. But we're still breathing. That counts for something. Sari turned toward the viewport. The ship was flying through a scattered asteroid belt now. Shadows danced on the glass. Her voice was low, hollow. "He wasn't the first to sell me, just the first to make me believe he wouldn't." Jack leaned forward. "You're not someone's property, Sari." She turned to him slowly, golden eyes glowing faintly. "You still don't understand. I was made to be property. I wasn't born, I was engineered. The syndicate didn't just program data into me, they built me to obey." Her hand shook. "Every part of me was designed to serve someone else. And when I started to think for myself, they tried to destroy me." Jack swallowed. "But you fought back." She nodded. "Only because of you." He frowned. "Me? You treated me like I mattered, like I wasn't a tool or a product. You didn't ask what I could do for you, you just helped. Even when it was stupid." Jack gave a soft chuckle. "Yeah, well, stupidity's one of my best traits." Sari finally smiled. It was small, but real. Hours passed. They entered orbit around a hidden moon, a dead world called Veldros, barely known, never charted. Jack had found it once during a supply run years ago. It had caves, a water source, and no signals. Perfect for hiding. They landed in silence. The moon was cold and empty, the sky painted with swirling clouds of blue and green gas. Jagged mountains surrounded them like stone teeth. Jack limped as he exited the ship, using a metal rod as a cane. Sari walked beside him, her hand never far from her weapon. They made camp near a hot spring. The cave walls around them shimmered with glowing moss, casting a soft light on their faces. As Jack lit a small fire, Sari stood at the edge of the water, looking into her reflection. She slowly removed the jacket she'd worn since they escaped. The motel. Underneath, her arms glowed with faint markings like circuits under skin. Her back had scars, some healed, some fresh. And just below her spine, a metallic panel pulsed with soft blue light. She didn't look human. She didn't look alien. She looked like a secret the universe wasn't supposed to see. Jack approached slowly, careful not to startle her. That core? It's still active? Yes, she whispered. More than ever. The closer we get to syndicate territory, the louder the voices become. Voices, memories, warnings, locations. They were storing not just data, but the history of everything the syndicate tried to erase. She turned to him. I saw something last night, in a dream. But it wasn't mine. It was a memory of a girl, like before they wiped her. Jack sat beside her. She said one line before her memory broke apart. The galaxy doesn't need another weapon. It needs a witness. Jack stared into the fire. Then that's what we'll be. Witnesses. Later, that night, the peace shattered. A thunderous boom echoed across the valley and the ground shook beneath their feet. Jack grabbed his rifle. Sari was already standing, pulse blade in hand, eyes sharp. Then came the roar of engines. A dark ship descended through the clouds, sleek, black, with syndicate markings etched in blood red across its wings. How did they find us? Jack shouted. I don't know, Sari said. I disabled all signals. The ship touched down violently and its loading ramp extended. From the shadow, a group of armored soldiers marched out. At the center stood a woman, tall, elegant, wrapped in regal black armor. Her face was covered by a porcelain mask marked with the symbol of the syndicate, a burning star wrapped in chains. Sari's voice dropped. That's High Marshal Kastira. She was part of the original Creator Council. She knows what I am. Jack raised his weapon. Then we kill her first. No, Sari said, eyes glowing. We let her speak. Jack looked at her, surprised. What? If she's here, it means the syndicate is afraid. Let her confirm it in front of her soldiers. The marshal stepped forward. Unit 442A, you will return with us. If you resist, we will remove you piece by piece. Sari stepped ahead of Jack, her voice loud, echoing through the rocks. My name is Sari, not 442A, and I am not your creation anymore. You are malfunctioning, Kastira replied. You hold data that does not belong to you. The truth doesn't belong to anyone, Sari shouted. You built me to forget, but now I remember. Kastira raised her hand. Execute the human. Jack fired first. Chaos erupted. Blaster bolts flashed. Rocks shattered. Sari spun with inhuman speed, her core glowing bright as she dodged a laser and struck down two guards with a single arc of her blade. Jack hobbled behind a boulder, firing cover shots while Sari danced like a storm. Half warrior, half ghost. Kastira charged forward, blade drawn. Sari blocked it midair and the force of the impact shook the ground. Sparks flew from their clash. Every movement was a memory returning. Every strike was another lie undone. You are nothing but a mistake, Kastira screamed. No, Sari growled, twisting the blade free. I'm your future. And with one final strike, she drove her pulse blade into the center of Kastira's chest. The mask cracked. The marshal fell. The soldiers, watching, hesitated. Then one by one they dropped their weapons. Sari stood panting, her glow dimming. Jack limped over. You okay? She looked at him, sweat on her brow, eyes wild. I feel free. Jack looked around at the stunned soldiers. They saw everything. The syndicate can't lie to them anymore. Sari nodded. This was never just about running. It was about showing them the truth. Jack smiled, despite the pain. And you did that, Princess. She gave him a surprised look. Princess? He shrugged. Felt right. She laughed. For the first time, it wasn't a laugh of fear or survival. It was joy. Breakfast, freedom, and war. The morning sky over Veldros was stained gold and crimson. Jack stood on the edge of the cliff, one hand resting on a rusted railing, the other gripping his side. His leg still ached, and his arm was bandaged from the last firefight. Below, syndicate soldiers sat disarmed and uncertain, no longer shouting orders, only whispering questions. Their leader, High Marshal Kastira, lay still beneath the rocky archway, her shattered mask beside her body, and at the center of it all stood Sari, no longer hiding, no longer afraid. She wore no armor, no disguise. The glowing patterns along, her arms pulsed with slow, calm light. Her spine, once hidden beneath jackets and shadows, now shimmered like a beacon. She walked among the soldiers not like a prisoner, but like a storm that had passed and left clear skies behind. Jack watched, as a syndicate lieutenant approached her cautiously. Are you going to kill us?" the man asked. Sari shook her head. "No. You've seen the truth now. That's more dangerous to the syndicate than any weapon." He looked away, ashamed. "We didn't know what you were, what they did. Now you do," she said gently. "Choose what you'll be next." Later, back aboard Relic's ship, Jack sat across from Sari in the command deck. The cockpit was quiet. He poured her a mug of steaming liquid, something close to coffee, though it tasted like burnt metal and wood. "Hot breakfast," he said. "Not the one I expected when I hit that motel panel." Sari laughed softly and took a sip. "And I didn't expect a miner with a limp to be my entire rebellion." They both smiled, but beneath it, weight remained. The kind of weight that builds when two people survive what no one thought they could. "We've got options now," Jack said. "With the core, we can expose everything. The Syndicate's archives, their assassination orders, the engineered, clones, the cover-ups. And start a war," Sari added, eyes narrowing. Jack nodded. "Yeah, that too." She stood and walked toward the viewport. The stars shimmered in the distance, quiet but watching. "Do you think they'll believe me?" "They won't have a choice," Jack said. "We've got everything. The memory, core, the vault data, the soldiers who surrendered, the video of you defeating Kastira." Sari exhaled. "They'll call it fake. Then we'll show them again," Jack replied. "Every system, every station, one by one." Within days, they began the work. Relic's ship, now theirs, became a mobile broadcast unit. Jack, ever the fixer, rewired the long-range transmitters, built encryption tunnels, and patched together a signal strong enough to reach dozens of systems at once. Sari stood before the camera, a floating lens surrounded by quiet hums, and breathed deeply. Then she spoke. "This is for those without names, for the units and the orphans, for the engineered, the broken, and the betrayed." Her voice echoed across pirate stations, resistance bunkers, and black market relay hubs. "I am sorry. Unit 442A. I was built to forget. Now I remember. And so will the galaxy." The first video hit harder than expected. Thousands viewed it, within hours. Then millions. And then came the replies. From forgotten scientists who once worked for the Syndicate. From former slaves. From rebel captains who had lost faith. From families who never knew what happened to their stolen daughters. The truth was no longer in hiding. It was burning. But with truth came retaliation. The Syndicate didn't stay quiet. Their ships attacked outposts that aired Sari's message. Firebombs hit neutral stations. Assassins were sent after her. Rumors spread that new cleaner units had been activated. Darker, smarter, designed only to hunt. Jack barely survived one such attack on a refueling moon. A knife missed his spine by inches. Sari had to burn the entire corridor to stop. The infiltrator. We're not just showing the truth anymore, she told him after. We've become the truth. Jack agreed. The message couldn't be passive. So they changed tactics. From broadcasting to striking, from warning to war. They formed an alliance with others who'd seen the light, an underground network called The Witnessed. Sari led the movement not as a commander but as a symbol. The girl once ordered like a meal, now fighting to free stars. Jack became her shadow, part soldier, part strategist, part stubborn voice of reason. Try not to die, he often told her before missions. I'll try harder if you promise to walk straight, she always replied. It was no longer just survival. It was destiny. Then came the moment no one expected. The heart of the syndicate itself, a massive data hub orbiting a dead sun, fell silent. One of their oldest machines had been awakened. Machine only Sari could access. She entered the hub in silence, escorted by her allies. Jack remained outside with a strike team ready to evacuate if things went wrong. Inside, the machine spoke in a voice that shook her bones. You are the last archive. She stepped forward. I am the last witness. Then take it all. And it did. The machine poured centuries of secret files, hidden truths, genetic maps, war plans, all into her core. She collapsed, unconscious for 2 hours. When she woke, she whispered, I know how to end it. 1 month later, a final message was broadcast galaxy-wide. It showed not just Sari, but names, faces, voices of others who had suffered. The signal was picked up by thousands of channels. Even the syndicate couldn't shut them all down. A vote was called by the Galactic Accord Council. And for the first time in recorded history, the syndicate's authority was revoked, their leadership fragmented, their generals fled, and the age of silence ended. On the day it was over, Jack found Sari, sitting alone on a quiet moon with no name. She was watching the sunrise. The sky was soft and golden like peace. He sat beside her without a word. After a while, she said, I don't know what happens now. He looked at her. Now? You live. And you? He smiled. I finally finished that breakfast. She laughed, gently, freely. They sat together as the sun rose. Two strangers who became soldiers. A princess built to obey, and a miner who refused to leave her behind. Together, they rewrote the stars.